So the wool bowl that I made yesterday, it's dry enough now to trim. So I'm going to centre it again on the wheel head. So basically, you can't really see because I haven't got the camera, but I hold my finger like that at the edge, and then where it hits my finger, so it's going to hit it there, I push it into the centre just a little bit, and then eventually that gets it centred. Because if it's not centred, you have a really thin bit. One side of your pot is thin and the other side is thick, because you're not taking an equal amount off each side as it spins around. That looks pretty alright there. Then what I'm going to do is get a lump of clay. I'm just going to split that into 3. Make a rough little sausage, and then I'm going to put one there, spin it round. We'll have one there, and then I'm putting one at this side as well, which you probably can't see on there. So that holds it in place. Also what I'm going to do is push down on the top a little bit just to stop it from lifting up, because that sometimes happens. I'm going to use a trimming tool, which is this one here. I'm not going to put a foot on this one, just because it's a wool bowl. I think it's nicer if it's either sat in your lap or on the settee or something next to you. I think it doesn't really work with a foot ring, but that's just my opinion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to support my hands. So basically I rest on the edge of the wheel, and then I hold my thumb onto there, my finger onto there, and I'm basically supporting this hand, because if I just leave it like that with no support, it'll take it away and it'll end up tearing into the pot. So I'm kind of just gently taking off the excess clay on the bottom, because you can't get right underneath here when you're throwing it. It's a little bit soggy this at the minute, but I'm just going to go with it. So because it's soggy, I don't want these bits catching under my finger here, because then it'll just start to smudge it in and it'll end up messy, and I don't want a messy pot. So it's like a little bit of a fake foot that I'm putting on, so there's a little bit of height there, but not loads. And there's still a lot of weight under the bottom of the pot. I'm saying a lot of weight, it's not loads, but there's more than I would usually have on there. And I normally leave the wool bowls like that because I think they're a bit nicer that way. So you see that's what happens when you end up with little bits underneath and it's not hard enough. So you've got to smooth it in. So I'm basically just taking that thickness off the bottom of the pot. So this is for an order, and when I do orders, generally I make 2. If I only need 1, I'll make 2, because there's always something goes wrong in the kiln, like literally always. So I've got 2 of these to do. I'll do them exactly the same pattern and everything. So that's that trimmed. I'm just going to hold my finger, I don't know if you can see there or not, on the edge and just smooth that off. And then take the supports out, and you can flip it over. So then we've got, I don't know if you can see the shape on the bottom there or not. Then you can have a feel around, just make sure it's the same sort of width all the way. It's normally a little bit thicker on the bottom, which is fine, just for the balance sort of thing, but yeah, that feels pretty good. So I'm going to cut into the side next, so I'll set that up and show you. Right, so I've trimmed the bowl. What I'm going to do now is I need a hook on the side, so I'm going to draw with a needle tool. I'm just going to draw the pattern on what I think. Just push that away a little bit so you can see. So I'm kind of going to go that sort of a shape, but I think I want it a little bit bigger. So that looks pretty alright. So basically, your wool is going to go down there. I'm going to cut this bit out here. So your wool's going to go down there and hook into there. Hopefully you can see here. I'm going to tidy the edges up as well, because if you leave them really rough, they'll be sharp and it ends up like sort of cutting your wool a little bit. So I'll make sure that's all nice and smooth as well. So to start it, I've got quite a deep impression there. I'll do a bit more with my needle tool. I'm at a really funny angle here to try and show you what I'm doing at the same time, so bear with us. So it's quite a deepish impression there. I'm going to get a potter's knife, and I'm just going to start cutting in, but I'm not going to try and do the whole thing at once, because it's quite dry on the top there, and it's a little bit like an Easter egg. So when you sort of snap an Easter egg in half, that's what I could do with this. Not that I'm going to show you, but yeah, so you just really carefully start cutting through with your knife, and just don't try to do it all in one go, unless you're going super slow, but you're kind of better just getting it down a little bit at a time. So you can see probably on the top there that I haven't gone all the way through yet, and it'll probably take another couple of goes to get that out. You just don't want to rush it. So it's gone through. I can feel it the other side of my hand there, because this is slightly thinner there. So this bit's kind of cut out, so I'll try and get all the top bit cut out now. And this is the bit that you have to be really careful with, because this point here is a little bit shorter, and it's easy to snap that off if you're not careful and you don't support everything as you're cutting it. So you can see my thumb and my finger, they're kind of pinching. Both bits, they're pinching the bit that I'm cutting out and the bit that's getting kept. So that's that cut all the way out. I'm going to go through this side now, and that's pretty much it. I can feel it's moved, so that's the bit that I've cut out. So now I've got a nice little hook there for it. So what I'll do next is I'll get some water and a little sponge, and we'll go through that. So I've got a little tub of water and a sponge. This is like a fine sponge, it's like a makeup sponge. They're a little bit better than a normal like car washing sponge, because they don't bring as much grog up It's quite a heavily grogged clay that we use, because we use the one thing for pretty much everything. So we use it for our cookware, we use it for tableware, we use it for raku, because it's got that little bit of grog in, so it makes it suitable for loads of things. But if you want something really smooth, it just means you have to spend a little bit more time tidying it up. So I'm literally being really, really, really careful here, and I'm not putting much pressure on at all. But you can hopefully see how that sort of tidies it up. And then I'll rub my finger over it as well, just to compress the clay a little bit and get those little rough bits sink back under the surface. Because as I say, I don't want any rough bits on here, because they'll end up really sharp when you fire it. And you don't want your wool pulling through a sharp bit of ceramic. So hopefully you can see, if I try and pull this a little bit closer to the camera, maybe. There's focus. Focus, Diane. So I don't know whether you can see it's a lot smoother on this side. If you have a look on the inside, you can see that that's still rough. So I'll get that inside finished off. What I'm going to do as well is put a couple of holes in for the needles to sit through. So I'll show you that bit next. Right, so I'm going to put a couple of holes in the side here, probably next to each other, about there and there. When I'm thinking about where I'm putting the holes, I think about how it looks on the bowl as a design, and I also think about technically how it's going to work, because if I do it really close to here and I start putting a hole in, it's probably going to crack the top bit there, and it makes it a little bit weaker as well. So probably about there and there would be good. So this is a hole cutter. So basically it's like a cheese taster or a drill. So you kind of like push it in, pull it out, and there's a plug of clay comes out. So if I start about here, then you just kind of slowly turn it, and you can see it's kind of drilling that out. So I'm being super careful with it, just because this bit is now weak because I've cut it out. And I'm using I think it's about 1 centimetre maybe, the hole cutter. Just because when it gets glaze on it, it'll close the hole in a little bit, and also the whole thing will shrink by like 12%-ish by the time it's glazed and fired. So yeah, so you can see there that it's pulled a plug of clay out. So just get rid of that, and spin it around a little bit, and we'll put another one about there. So you can kind of stick your knitting needles through there. When you're not using them, they'll rest through there nicely. It's a little bit like a noodle bowl as well. I don't know if anybody's ever made those or not, but you can put a couple of little holes in one side so that plug of clay has come out. Yeah, so I've got 2 little holes in there, and that kind of complements the rest of it. It's just nice and simple. What I'm going to do as well, because it's left a little rough bit here that you probably can't see, but I'm just going to literally go over it with that sponge, go around it with my finger, and then go back in. Really carefully take it out. And that just makes it super tidy. And then the same on the other side, and then that's all good. So that's your wool bowl.